Senator. As Trump's legal problems continue to swirl, would you be comfortable if he became the party's 2024 nominee?
That's a hypothetical question that's a long ways off. And we've got, a number of candidates who we're looking at. Some are already in that race. And so I don't think that it's in any Republican's best interest right now to speculate about what might happen in a Republican primary. But I expect it'll be a very robust conversation.
Leader, the House of Representatives is going to consider this parental Bill of Rights here. I know that this probably won't come up in the Senate. Do you think there's any effort, as an amendment to the budget or something like that, since this is something that seems to be important to Republicans, to try to attach that, maybe try to get Democrats to take a tough vote on something related to that because of some of the ruckuses at the school board meetings we saw in the past couple of years?
Well, one thing I can tell you is that our members are very interested in the role that parents have in their children's education and upbringing, and I think that that issue has been raised in a lot of heavily Democrat governors, Democrat legislators across this country who, in many ways, I think have undermined the right of parents to put their kids first and foremost when it comes to their education. So I don't know exactly what that looks like, a parent's Bill of Rights, but my guess is if we have some vehicle over here that is open to amendment, I wouldn't be surprised if we have some members who want to address that issue. I don't know exactly, again, what that looks like in the House. Yeah. Well, I think the House, I try to comment on the House. Got a number of former House members here, and I know when I was over there, I didn't like being lectured by the Senate. The House is going to handle matters their way, but I do think that there are questions that are being asked by a lot of our members, and for that matter, people all across the country, about the prioritization of this DA, of this issue, over what are very current and real law enforcement issues in their city. And I think that's a fair question to raise.
Senator, Homeland Security Secretary is touting going after the fentanyl dealers and things like that, and talking about this task force that he created. Is it too little, too late of the Biden administration actually doing something now about the fentanyl crisis?
Well, I'll believe it when I see it if they actually do something. And you saw Senator Capito talked about, a number of us have been down there. We've seen how very real these trafficking issues are, whether it's drugs, weapons, human trafficking, and particularly with respect to fentanyl. It seems like at least maybe some of these issues are starting to cross the radar screen of the current administration. That is a welcome development, but I think you judge people by what they do, not by what they say. And the rhetoric out of this administration oftentimes is very different from their actions. So we'll see what they do to follow up. Yep.
Have you seen any progress on the issue of the debt limit and how to resolve it? And if the stalemate between the President and the Speaker persists, do you anticipate Senate Republicans might have to step in?
As of right now, I think what Senate Republicans are doing is supporting our counterparts in the House of Representatives and the leadership and their efforts to negotiate a deal with the White House. And I can't speak to the current progress of that, but I do know that it is important, one, that we not default, but two, that we have a meaningful conversation around the debt, spending reforms, and I'm hopeful the administration will, in good faith and earnestly, reach out to and work with House Republicans to address that issue. And it hasn't happened just yet, but I'm hopeful that it will, and as typically the case around here, sometimes it takes a little bit of pressure to get people to the table. But the administration initially, as you know, their initial reaction was, we're not going to negotiate. That is not a realistic or viable approach to what is a major issue in front of this country.
Senator,